Hey everyone, my name is Wes, and welcome back to another episode of Terror Talk where I discuss creepy clips online. I created this original horror music to add to the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Be sure to leave your own comments, and when you're done watching, check the description if you'd like to listen to my music without the commentary. Now let's get into it and have some fun.
Near the town I grew up in, there's a forest with a bunch of trails and camping spots. A couple years ago, I went back to visit my family for a week and decided to go camping while I was there. The gear I had was very basic, but I wasn't trying to do anything crazy.
Have you ever been camping before? I've been camping at least a couple of times, and the last time I went was actually a pretty miserable experience, I'm not gonna lie. And it was actually pretty stupid because I was coming down with a flu or a cold or something like that, and I stupidly decided to go anyways because I felt like I had already made a commitment, and it was miserable, I'm not gonna lie. And what made things even worse is that I barely brought enough water with me. In fact, I didn't bring hardly any water at all. It was just this little water bottle that I brought for the whole night and rest of the morning that I was there, and it was so dumb. Looking back at it, that was so dumb that I did that, but I was pretty inexperienced, and I don't know, did you do anything dumb like that when you were younger, when you went camping? Because it was such a miserable experience for me. Not only that, the ground was super hard, and I did not get a wink of sleep that night, I kid you not. But let me know in the comments below if you have ever been on a camping trip, or if it was a bad camping experience.
I just wanted to find a good spot and camp for a night or two. I started on a somewhat random trail and followed it for a while. I knew most of the trails led to a pond that was a few miles into the forest, so I was expecting to end up there. But as I got to mile 5 or 6, I realized it was going to somewhere else. I was actually excited to see where it led to, but after hours of walking, it almost seemed like it was an endless trail leading to nowhere. Eventually, my legs were starting to give out, so I found a small spot on the side of the trail to stake out for the night.
Isn't that annoying when you're walking down a trail and it seems like it never freaking ends? Like, seriously.
It was just about dusk, so I was racing against the sun to get everything set up and to get a campfire going. I only had a few minutes to spare before the whole forest was dark. The campfire lit up a decent distance around, but not enough for me to go out any more than 15 to 20 feet from the camp. I stayed sitting and boiled some water, making tea to calm down for the night. It was hard to tell the time, but an hour probably passed, and it was well into the night already when I heard someone coming down the trail. I didn't think it was a person at first, like maybe a bear or something, but as they got closer, I could tell that it was definitely a person. I listened as they walked down the trail, and their figure became slightly visible in the light. I was just barely too far from the trail to be able to make out anything about them, though. All I could see is that it was a tall person with a backpack. They didn't stop or anything. They just walked along the trail.
Already right here, I'm thinking, why is there a person this late at night coming through that part of the campsite like that? And if I were that guy, it would be ringing off alarms in my head like, this is kind of strange, what do you think? I mean, maybe I'm just overly paranoid, but it seems like this shouldn't be happening right now, right?
And past my campsite. As the sound of their footsteps faded out, I thought it was pretty strange that they weren't carrying a flashlight and were hiking well into the night. From the small amount I could make out, though, having seen a large backpack, I assumed they knew what they were doing, and that's pretty much the last I thought about it. I stayed up by my campfire for another hour, then...
Yeah, I agree. Not having a flashlight also is pretty strange, like, especially that late at night. One, it's not that smart to not have a flashlight that late at night. And two, I would think it would be pretty spooky out there in the middle of the woods with no flashlight, so yeah.
And waited for it to burn out before getting in my tent and trying to sleep. I woke up in the middle of the night, though, having to pee. I tried to hold it in and go back to sleep, but I just couldn't get comfortable after having already woken up. I unzipped the tent and stepped out, walking a good 20 or so feet from my campsite. I did my business, then turned around to go back, but far out on the other side of my tent, I saw something move. The moonlight wasn't nearly enough for me to have gotten a clear sight of it, but something in me knew that it was a person. I slowly walked back to the tent with my eyes wide open, looking all around at the trees surrounding my camp. I then carefully reached in and grabbed my backpack, taking out a flashlight. I turned it on, and it immediately revealed a person standing by the trail. They were tall, looking just like the person I'd seen at the start of the night. Just as quick as I saw them, though, they ran off behind the trees and out of the light.
That would be pretty unsettling, wouldn't it? Having someone just standing there, not too far away, just kind of stalking you and watching you. I would be pretty darn spooked at that point.
And it was suddenly silent again. I probably sat there for a whole minute with the flashlight before realizing there was nothing I could do other than leave as soon as possible. I packed what I could, only leaving my cheap tent, then started walking toward the trail. Once I got to where I'd last seen them, I only got even more terrified because there were no signs of them anywhere. I didn't know if they were still watching me or even following me. I kept my flashlight on and walked on the trail, shining it all around at the trees as I cautiously made my way back. The sun started coming up halfway through, and I was able to make it back unharmed. When I got home, I looked up the exact trail I took, and from what I saw, it wasn't even an established trail. So maybe it was someone like me, just going on whatever path they saw. But that doesn't explain what happened. Why were they stalking my camp in the middle of the night? And how long were they there? I think that night was more likely than not supposed to be my last. And the outcome of me leaving when I did was probably the only outcome where I'd get to leave.
Yeah, so would you have left in that situation right away? Or would you have been stupid enough to stay longer to see what would have happened? Because I hope that mostly everyone, or I should say everyone, would have the common sense to leave in that situation, because it's just not worth the risk, and you never know what kind of crazy people are out there. And especially if it's an unknown trail like that there could very well be some sick people out there just like stalking and sort of hunting people, I guess, whatever their plans are. And when I say hunting, I don't mean exactly planning on killing, but maybe. But you just have to be super careful and aware in situations like that, and he was definitely smart to get out of there when he got out of there. And would you have gotten out of there at that particular time? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, I thought this was a good story, and I hope you enjoyed my commentary, and I will see you in the next video.